You so much, Antonia. It's great to be here. What tough acts to follow. Oh my God. Bláthnaid, that was incredible. And it was great to see the sheep up so close. My name is Claire McGovern. I am saying hello to you from Brooklyn today. I run a multidisciplinary studio, and we have varied between working as interior designers, art advisors. Our entrepreneurial days began with an art and design gallery, and today we have a contemporary sustainable Irish wool carpet and tapestry collection. So everything is made by hand in Ireland. And let me take you into our slideshow. Okay, so let's play. So a little bit more about me. So these are some elements, the defining principles of our design brand. And also Rhyme Studio, which I started in 2013 after rebranding from our first business, which was an art and design gallery that became an interior design art consultancy. So today, I mean, the presentation, the images I'm going to show you now are very much more focused on Irish wool and our sustainable design collection, which was always intended to be multimedia, but it's organically begun with Irish wool. When we uncovered all the issues facing the Irish woolen market, it was kind of so shocking that we're still stuck on the Irish wool. And there's an incredible amount of creativity and potential with it, and room for improvement in terms of representing, Irish native materials on an international stage for their excellence and their potential to be luxury design. So on the interior side, I'm very focused on health and wellness in the home. That to me at this point in my career is just, these are the most important principles. They have been for a long time. Clearly COVID accelerated, I think, a lot of people's awareness about these issues. Responsible furniture making and finishes. With various clients, we are also now really pushing the biophilia aspect of things, which is also really taking off in terms of a discipline. So we basically have contemporary carpets that we started making in 2017. So the whole point of this was a high quality, customizable craftsmanship and an authentic collection. That was very much a celebration of what we feel contemporary Irish design can be. We're members of the Sustainable Furnishings Council, which we love. We're getting more involved with this organization. And the art of storytelling. I mean, every, I think, Irish person, really has a flair for this. It's the culture of Ireland, really just the wonder of spinning a good yarn, pardon the wool pun, but that is something that we find is pivotal to starting any design concept or collection process. It has to begin with a great story. So this is one of the Soho loft interior design. But as I said, we're going to kind of focus more on the Irish wool creations, some recent press. So this is my vision for the future. I can't think of any better, evolution in terms of design, manufacturing today in all areas of design, where people really start focusing on channeling and supporting nature. It's so obviously clear humanity is facing a huge number of problems. Everybody needs to be really, reevaluating, particularly the larger companies need to reevaluate their production processes. Ultimately, we're headed for a circular production goal. COVID has set us back a little bit on achieving that result, but it's underway. And we want to be advocates for sustainable design. And we're finding, certainly as I present Irish wool as a beautiful luxury quality material for carpets and tapestries and soon to be textiles coming out of our studio, that it's something that is truly sustainable, and also is unfortunately caught up in what is a larger global fiber market problem, which currently today involves a humongous amount of wool waste. It's quite shocking. So just a little bit more on me. I left Dublin, grew up in Dublin, born and raised, and left and moved to San Francisco. And ultimately, after spending 10 years in San Francisco, where I cut my teeth with initially with the museum, having been trained in fine art, but my father was an architect, very much an inspiration in terms of my artistic creativity. I started out, got my first lucky break with an art advisory and subsequently with an interior design firm in San Francisco, where we worked on some amazing projects. And then eventually I took a leap and started my own art and design gallery. So I've always approached design much more, really, to me, creativity is design, art, it's design as art. The boundaries, especially that we were trying to break down with our first gallery project, was that there is no distinction between what defines art, what defines design. So we created interiors, we showcased furniture, we brought over a lot of artists from Ireland, which is why today's event is so wonderful. And thanks to Antonia and Lee and Philip for bringing this together, because Irish design really does deserve a lot more global visibility, in my opinion. So 2017, we started prototyping with Irish Wool. And our first collection became this limited edition series, which we called Insula, after 7th century Irish art. So these are, there's 5 collections in these series. All our rugs are very customizable. Our designs are really just a suggestion, but something I had always wanted to do, having lived for so many years in America, was take these incredible classical elements of a 7th century Irish artistic discipline and pare them down, bring them into kind of a more contemporary perspective. So that was the design challenge with Insula, which we gave each carpet or tapestry an Irish name, Fuincha, meaning source or beginning. And, I'll speak a little bit later about wool and all of its incredible properties, but it is the one fiber that is water resistant and water absorbent. Innis is meaning island in Irish. And then this is our nod to Georgian Dublin, which is part of my youth, and Cree, meaning heart in Irish. Sweetness is another design that has gotten quite a bit of attention lately. And here it is, and that's Soho Loft. So I loved, Andrea, you mentioned earlier your wonderful definition of sustainability. This is probably my favorite, Buckminster Fuller, the great inventor, so ahead of his time. And I mean, I think maybe this quote of his was penned 40, 50 years ago. I don't know the exact year for this, when he said this, but it is by no means the reality of today's manufacturing standards around the globe. We have so much work to do. Wool is truly nature's way. It's the original eco fiber, call it biofiber, whatever you want. It is, practically, of course, next to flax, it has properties that literally no other fiber can match, and all naturally imbued to us. It's the fiber that nature gave us. So to me, it's just been an extraordinary discovery once we got invested in creating our designs and starting a production model, to discover how wool is apparently barely 2% of today's global fiber market share, maybe hovering around 2 to 3%. That is extraordinary. 70% of the global fiber market is dominated by synthetics, and that is just a world out of balance, basically, until, you know, we can affect some change in that regard. So this is not an exhaustive list, but you can see how incredible, you know, wool really is in terms of, you know, the #1 fiber to bring into your home. It has all these various, you know, properties. It can literally purify the air in your house. Not only that, it can also remove formaldehyde, which is very often a property of a piece of furniture that would have VOCs in it. You know, wool in the right proportions next to that can remove the formaldehyde from the interior. So we're in the business of making not only slow furniture design, but making design that might last a lifetime. And that's, you know, clearly the way to go for sustainable manufacturing. This is a very potent image that, so, you know, obviously 5 years ago, we started our project with Irish Wool. The first collection was debuted in New York City in 2018. And then I think about late 2019, I came across this image. And in 2020, the Irish wool market officially collapsed. So at that point, it had become apparent to me initially when I started our conversation sourcing materials in Ireland. I connected with a local talented rug maker. I said, make me a prototype rug from Irish wool. And he said, that's curious. In all my 35 years of making carpet, I've never used Irish wool. So just like fast fashion, there is fast furniture and there is fast carpet. So in the USA alone, here are just some basic statistics on what exactly is going on with the carpet industry, which is also something I had no idea was just so unrestrained in terms of its wastefulness. So the world is run by nylon, polypropylene, polyester. These are all petrochemical fibers. They can't be cleaned effectively. I mean, if we just continue focusing on carpet alone, the, you know, products made from that, they do only have a lifespan of 3 to 5 years. There's also, you know, I think you can see it a lot in the fashion industry too. It's true of furniture. I mean, so much of the manufacturing is overseas. I mean, in the carpet industry alone, the majority of carpet makers are producing in third world countries. You know, they're shipping wool from one side of the globe to the other, and then, you know, creating product there and shipping it to. So this is the reality, of course, of the market we're all operating in. And, you know, huge potential for change and improvement there. So this would be a snapshot of, you know, a detail of our collection with Galway Wool and Donegal Yarns. And so it's been such a pleasure to connect with Chris and Bláthnaid. A panel was set up in 2020 to convene on the Irish wool crisis. We all found ourselves on this panel, and it was just an instant kind of connection. We all felt so strongly about supporting native grown Irish wool. There's so much room for improvement. So up until that point, we had been buying directly from farmers, and now we are, you know, through Donegal Yarns, working directly with Galway Wool. Obviously, Irish landscape, the inspiration for so many of us. Of course, Galway Wool, one of my favorite counties. We go there as often as possible. And then there's the sheep, which are, you know, 3.5 million sheep around Ireland. Apparently it used to be 6 million. It's downsized, but it did once upon a time have one of the largest wool yields in Europe. So the history, Chris has already spoken to this. It's just extraordinary. And, you know, Ireland used to be covered in woolen mills. I'm always fixated on that because it's like an industry that has unfortunately, you know, evaporated, but there are a core few woolen mills that are keeping the tradition strong and alive. Donegal Yarns. We also work with Kerry Woolen Mills. They were our original source for Irish wool. And Cushendale has been helping us with the dyeing process as well. An incredible woolen mill. Here's raw Irish wool fleece arriving at their spinning area. And then this is a photo of Kerry Woolen Mills and their mill shop in such a jaw-droppingly beautiful part of Ireland, you know, near the lakes of Killarney, and Donegal Yarns, of course. And the process. So these are some images of the spinning at Donegal Yarns. And this is an example of dyeing the wool at Cushendale Woolen Mills. Cushendale still operates today, an 1890 spinning mule. So this is something being based mostly in America, you know, with my own design collections, some, you know, capturing that tradition and bringing it into, you know, quality, sustainable product design has been a huge kind of motivator. And carding the wool, of course. And so the finished product before we hand tuft it into our carpets, which involves this mechanical process. One rug can take quite a few weeks to produce. It requires a lot of skill to replicate certain patterns. And there are virtues to hand tufting as well as a lot of artistic potential. So our second series was playing around with the idea of rug as sculpture, and this kind of evolved into one of our better selling designs. We called it Trinity, because it is essentially taking the triangular form and recreating it into different types of alternative looking carpet designs. Why does a carpet have to be rectangular after all? Why not some very avant-garde shape? So this infinity rug, which is inspired by the spiral of Theodorus, it works so well with them. Curvaceous sofas. It comes in 3 colorways. These are painstakingly dyed by Cushendale, and there are 3 options as well. We've also done quite a bit of custom with this. This is the blue haze. This is earth tones. And here's an installation, one of our favorite interior design firms. So we work with a growing number of interior designers, some of the best around America. There's a lovely moment with this earth tones rug and Jeremiah Designs project. And then this is the pewter color scheme. So the design artistic intent with this was to assemble 16 colors that would look like they're gradually fading into one another. Another installation in New Hampshire just came. We got images of recently by Spivak Architects. You can see here how one thing I really love about hand tufting is you can really get that sculptural edge, and it works so well with this curved door window wall in this home. So the second design was an equilateral triangle, again, in more of an earth tones quality. So our third collection was using the inspiration of Ogham, which obviously by no means am I the first artist or designer to be inspired by that. It's such an incredible architectural alphabet. And, you know, in using this as a discipline, you know, an inspiration, we're going back further, obviously, than 7th century Irish art. It's 1600 years old, and the legacy of which is only found on standing stones, vertically oriented script that are in Ireland, a little bit in Scotland too, but mostly in Ireland. So I knew it could become, we could make it into a carpet or tapestry design that could spell just about any word. Now, not only was that interesting to us in terms of, you know, of course, wool as a fiber, being your #1 healthy fiber for the home, but also, you know, touching upon the value of neuroaesthetics of a design concept. Here's some evidence of the architectural vertical qualities. For the first launch series, we took as vortables, which is a sheep that originally comes from the Netherlands, but was brought to Ireland in the 90s. Now, this is really interesting to me because it's a gorgeous, rich, chocolatey brown wool, and you cannot dye that kind of wool. You're either celebrating it in its natural form or not using it at all. And obviously the undyed is more sustainable. So out of that came the Rowan Design. So there are 20 some characters in the original Ogham alphabet, and each one supposedly represents a tree, which is such an incredibly compelling story. There's the rowan, there's the birch, willow, and then a different color scheme here showing 3 in 1. And so from that initial collection, of course, we were going to evolve into spelling out words with Ogham. And in summer 2020, there was definitely these kinds of words floating around in our mind: peace, health. This is a beautiful installation with Lawrence Carr, Inc., who's an incredible designer, also a circular design expert. We worked together and took the concept of health, sláinte in Ogham, and using custom colors, we designed a staircase runner that cascaded down 2 flights of stairs. This is a detail of one of them, and also a runner in our entryway that spelled fáilte, or welcome. So the 4th collection that came out summer 2021 was something I'd wanted to do for a long time, a homage to Eileen Gray. We called it Modernity, and it became also, you know, a Kandinsky inspiration too. She was herself very influenced by him. So I'll show you just some detail of the surface. So with this, we started hand sculpting the surface of the rug, which is something you can do with hand tufted way more effectively than woven. Woven, I think, will come for us, something we'll get into very soon. But we're having a lot of fun exploring these kinds of different techniques. So geometric forms, of course, you know, crying out to be sculpted, penciled and carved, and lots of different custom options possible. So this was another design, the 2nd design in that series, which we call Supreme, and some more detail. And then it seemed just appropriate to take, you know, the inspiration of St. Bridget's Cross, which of course is such a compelling cultural forum in Irish circles, but it's so geometric. So interestingly enough, there's a lot of a number of architects who really embrace modernism, contemporary design, who love the geometric qualities of this. And so lastly, our collaboration with Galway Wool and Donegal Yarns. So over the course of the last few years, I did also discover myself, before truly connecting with Bláthnaid and Chris, that the original Aran sweater yarn was no longer made from native Irish wool. And it hasn't been really for the last 70 years, which is really just so sad. I mean, you could see the quality of the Galway wool sheep with Bláthnaid. They're incredible. It's a wonderful fiber. It, you know, represents the most stunning landscape. This is not something that should really continue. And I think between the 3 of us, we're starting to get the message out that this is something that needs to, you know, shift. So there are 3 designs in the initial series. You can see one of them here as well. This we call Spiralis, kind of a homage, I think, to the waves around the Aran Islands. But we call the collection Bóinín, which is basically the original Aran sweater yarn, meaning little white one or undyed white yarn. So some more images here. And again, we were playing around with the sculpting and carving and penciling qualities that one can really innovate when hand tufting. Real Irish wool. And so the other thing about Galway Wool that instantly, once we decided we were going to move forward with the collection, is I wanted to celebrate the beautiful creamy white qualities of this, you know, undyed natural fiber. And it's almost a little like Irish butter, which of course everybody knows is great. And Crooked Roads is also a reference to the incredible landscape and ancient stone walls of some of the Aran Islands. And this was our installation in May for New York Design Week. So we do eventually have a textile collection coming to the fore. Here's just a quick snapshot of some of the images of various cushion designs. Always interested in playing around with the sculptural form. That was the Zwortables, of course. These are some other hand-woven fibers, Irish wool. And last but not least, I do also work with a couple of artists who I definitely wouldn't want to not present their work, seeing as they are both so very talented. Ian Sheldon is somebody I've worked with for over 20 years now. He's an incredible oil painter, storm chaser. He literally tracks meteorological patterns online and goes out to meet storms as they occur and comes up with these wonderful oil painting, you know, tempestuous skies. So very much a representation of the American prairie and these limitless landscapes, which are so unique to North America, where you can see these turbulent forces of skies or building on the horizon, maybe hundreds of miles away. And Helen O'Connell, a dear friend of mine, and also I believe one of Ireland's finest sculptors working today. Helen is based in Bray, and she's been working with stone for quite a few years now. She's trained in all the incredible quarries in Italy and Portugal, and she works a lot with Kilkenny limestone as well, which of course is a fascinating material because it's early marine, compressed marine life that was formed when Ireland was still attached to mainland England. So Helen does some wonderful kind of contemporary interpretations on, you know, classical Celtic symbols, centrifugal, another great work of hers. And here she is. This is how she hones her craft. These incredibly heavy, gigantic blocks of Kilkenny limestone. So Helen will be exhibiting with us more in New York and across the country later this year and next. This one is currently in our New York City inventory. Gorgeous piece that the classical torque is a big inspiration to Helen.
They're amazing.
Gorgeous, right?
Yes, I'm just a little conscious of time.
And that's it.
Oh, perfect timing.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely wonderful, Claire. Thank you. That was really amazing. And I absolutely, as you know, I just find your rugs and your collaboration with Galway Irish Wool like absolutely stunning. I don't know if Philip and Lee have anything to add, comments for this wonderful collaboration happening.
Well, I guess it needs a lot of power more, because you did indeed speak to 300 people still there, so that was good. And it was not like only 100 left. Don't worry. So this message is now out, but it needs to go more further, of course. And in fact, it's the whole Irish question, you can say, because the linen is the same story. It's the linen and the wool. So my thoughts were that I don't know. I just see you guys, Antonia, make an exhibition next year with your consul in New York for New York Textile Month. You know, we do that with Belgian textile artists already now twice. It was disrupted because of pandemic, and we now will have one with the Finnish embassy, I believe. there will be a video about this just after our program. So everybody is invited to stay if you can still manage to find energy. Yeah, something needs to be done on a bigger scale, I think.
The problem we have, Lee, is that every time there is an expose or a demonstration or an exhibition of Irish wool, that even our own design and craft council here, they continuously support Irish merino. Now, anyone who knows anything about Irish wool knows that merino doesn't grow in Ireland, but like we have state organisations who actively support the promotion of Irish design and craft without the use of Irish grown wool. And if it wasn't for the likes of Cushendale and especially Donegal, who have generously put their hands in the pocket and supported the farmers in the co-op, we don't get any other. I'm a volunteer, Lee. I do this out of pure passion for wool and pure passion for, as I said, getting the story out. But we are continuously competing with the likes of the exhibitions that you're talking about because they contain imported wool. So how do we reverse that trend? How do we use the forum here today to just appeal genuinely?
Well, we are planting seeds for this is we're going to enter our third year, and we do see in a way more awareness, much more than in the beginning. I think it's growing. It's slow because we talk about slow making and slow being, so it's not going to take the world overnight. But I do think that there is a growing awareness. I do think that there is a lot of wool waste. It's not just in your country, it's in all countries in Europe.
Everywhere, absolutely.
In Germany, in Holland, there's young students working on this. Everybody is appalled that we create sheep just for consumption and that we cannot use the wool. It's crazy.
Right.
There must be sort of hybrids where we can have both, or I don't know, but things need to be studied here. And but it's also, the stable store making such wonderful things. I could see an Irish presence in New York next year. That would be really cool.